So picture this. It is like 2 a.m., right? The blue light from your monitor is it's burning your retinas.
Oh yeah, the classic late night grind. We have all been there.
Exactly. And you're endlessly scrolling through a poker strategy forum. It's probably your 10th one of the night, honestly.
Just completely lost in the weeds.
Right. You've got PIO Solver open on another screen. You're agonizing over ranges, running equity calculators, staring at this grid of colors until the combinations literally just blur together.
It's a very specific, isolating kind of misery.
It really is, because you're trying to figure out why, after studying for 20 hours this week, you still got stacked earlier tonight at a 25 table by some guy who was drinking a double IPA and barely even paying attention.
Yeah, you put in the volume, you run the sims, you memorize the pre-flop charts. You consider yourself a thinking player, right?
Totally. I mean, you feel like you're playing the quote-unquote right way.
Exactly. But the results at the table just feel entirely disconnected from the effort you're putting in at the desk. The game just feels like it's punishing you.
Okay, let's unpack this, because tonight we're going completely under the hood of modern cash game poker.
And we're using some seriously heavy data to do it.
Yeah, a massive, incredibly dense data set. We're talking over 4 million real tracked cash game hands.
4 million. It's wild.
It is, and the mission for this deep dive is to look at what this data reveals, because it uncovers this hidden metagame that separates the break-even grinders, the ones stuck in that 2 a.m. doom scroll, from the true table crushers.
The players who are just consistently pulling profit from the pool.
Right, and here's the massive reality check. It turns out that the average smart studying player is making 47 specific, highly exploitable mistakes every single session.
47 structural leaks. I mean, that is huge.
It's staggering.
And the most painful part, for the thinking player, is that these aren't mistakes of ignorance.
Wait, really? What do you mean by that?
Well, they are mistakes of misapplied theory. This data set essentially proves that the fundamental way most of us are studying the game is just structurally mismatched to the reality of the actual tables we play at.
Oh, wow. Okay, I was looking at the breakdown of these leaks, and I think the best way to visualize what's happening here is an analogy.
Let's hear it.
So bringing a modern solver-approved strategy to a chaotic 12 or 25 game with amateurs is basically like trying to use a hyper-precise, laser-guided surgical scalpel to chop down an oak tree.
Oh, I like that.
Right, because the scalpel is a mathematically perfect tool. It's brilliant, but the environment you're applying it to completely breaks the tool.
Yeah, you don't need a scalpel in the woods. You need an axe.
Exactly, and you're just sitting there getting furious that your scalpel snapped in half against the bark. It's like bringing a chess strategy to a game of checkers, where the other guy's just jumping your pieces randomly.
And you get mad because the manual didn't prepare you for it. This structural mismatch is exactly what we need to tackle first.
Yeah, to stop bleeding chips, right?
Right. We have to fundamentally rethink our approach to the game itself. We had to tear down this pedestal that theoretical perfection has been on for the last decade.
And step into the messy, practical reality of human behavior. Which brings us right into the core argument here, the big trap. Game theory, optimal play, or GTO.
The holy grail for, 10 years now?
At least 10 years. Every course, every training site, every forum debate eventually just devolves into what the solver prefers at equilibrium.
It really does. But this analysis of the 4 million hands basically argues that an obsession with GTO is actively destroying the win rates of low to mid-stakes players.
Destroying them, that's a strong word.
It is, but the psychological trap of playing a solved strategy against entirely unsolved opponents is profound.
Because the math itself isn't wrong, right?
No, the math is flawless. The fatal flaw is the assumption that's baked into the input.
I mean, solvers assume a closed system.
Exactly. A system of perfect logic where both actors are at equilibrium. It assumes the player across from you is also playing optimally, recognizing your range, and responding with perfectly balanced frequencies.
But when you sit down at a Friday Night 25 game, you are not playing against a supercomputer.
Not at all.
You're playing against Dave, who just worked a 60-hour week and wants to gamble. Or Sarah, who is tilted because she just got check raised in 3 consecutive pots.
And this is where the data gets really illuminating. What's fascinating here is that we can reconstruct a highly specific scenario from the database that shows up thousands of times.
Oh, I love these. Bring it to life for us.
Okay, let's say you're playing 500 effective. You open cutoff, the button calls, and you go heads up to a flop of Jack-9 deuce rainbow.
Okay, pretty standard.
You c-bet your standard 33% sizing, he calls. Turn is an offsuit 4. You barrel geometric sizing to set up a river shove, and he calls again.
Building a pot. Got it.
Now the river is a blank 6. You check, and this completely chaotic opponent suddenly overbet shoves for 2 times the size of the pot.
Ugh, we have all been in this exact miserable spot. It's the worst.
It really is. Now, you look at your hand, and you have queen jack suited. Top pair, good kicker. So, what does the solver say you do when facing a 2x pot overbet on a blank river?
Well, the solver says you fold almost purely, because a mathematically balanced opponent would only use that massive sizing with an incredibly polarized range.
Right, like a set of jacks or completely blocked air.
Exactly. And Queen Jack is a pure bluff catcher that doesn't block value and blocks the missed straight draws. So yeah, it's a GTO-approved fold.
Exactly. You make the quote-unquote correct fold, you pat yourself on the back for your discipline, and then Dave flips over pocket 7s.
Oh my God, pocket 7th.
Third pair.
Raw.
Complete garbage. He just felt like you were weak and wanted to bully you.
And your brain just short circuits. You're sitting there absolutely fuming.
But here's the painful irony that the data exposes. Your correct play was mathematically the absolute worst play you could make against Dave.
Because Dave isn't some savant intentionally exploiting your adherence to GTO.
Right. He's just playing his chaotic, unbalanced game. But his natural chaos naturally punished your theoretical correctness.
And that's where the 47 specific patterns emerge, right, from these exact types of situations.
That's the crux of the issue. The 47 leaks all stem from this. We fold to river aggression because the solver says it's a fold, completely ignoring who we are playing against.
We ignore that the player pool underbluffs in certain spots, but massively overbluffs in others when their ego is challenged.
Exactly. Or we triple barrel into a calling station who lacks the ability to fold any pair. And then we blame variance when they call down with bottom pair and win.
I have to push back on this a little bit, because isn't GTO supposed to be mathematically unexploitable?
It is.
So if I play perfectly, shouldn't I win eventually? If I abandon the math, aren't I just guessing and opening myself up to being exploited?
That is the exact defense mechanism that keeps smart players stuck. It's a valid fear, but it misunderstands what maximizing EV actually entails in a live environment. Well, unexploitable simply means you survive against a perfect opponent. It's a defensive posture. It just guarantees you won't lose money to a better player.
Right.
But your objective isn't to draw even with the table. To maximize profit against imperfect players, you have to deviate and exploit their specific blunders.
I want all the chips, not just to survive.
To get all the chips, you deliberately unbalance your range. And regarding the fear of being exploited, the data shows the pool at low to mid stakes is entirely unobservant of your frequencies.
They're paying attention.
Exactly. They're looking at their hole cards and the board. If a player is physically incapable of folding top pair, running a mathematically balanced 3-barrel bluff against them is literally just setting your money on fire.
Wow. You aren't protecting your range, you're just paying an ego tax.
That's a great way to put it. An ego tax.
Okay, so if playing perfectly is a trap, then the obvious next step is learning exactly who we are playing against and how to trap them, right?
Which brings us to the Donk Hunter meta strategy.
I love that name. Becoming a donk hunter. Let's define the prey here.
Go for it.
A donk is basically a player who donates their runner. They make low-quality decisions recklessly, and they pay you off anyway, usually loudly and confidently.
We all know a few of those.
Oh, for sure. So what is the mindset shift here?
The Donk Hunter philosophy is a shift from asking, am I making the right play, to asking, how is this specific opponent giving away money?
That's the poker within the poker game.
Exactly, the meta strategy. And we aren't just guessing about human psychology. The data from those 4 million hands proves how predictable opponents are.
I'm so excited to look at these shocking statistics because they are wild. The hard data on the player pool.
Let's hear the numbers.
Okay, first one. 67% of players overfold to triple barrels on scary runouts.
67%. That is massive.
Right. If flush draws get there, or the board pairs on the river and you fire all 3 streets, over 2/3 of the field will fold hands they theoretically have to call with.
And why do they overfold? It's escalating commitment colliding with loss aversion. The first barrel on the flop is cheap.
They pay the information tax.
Exactly. The second barrel commits more stack, escalating pressure. By the third barrel on a scary river, their cognitive load maxes out and they default to safety.
So they fold out of visceral fear, even with the right pot odds.
Right. So against the general pool, you don't need a solver to balance blush there. You just massively overbluff to exploit that loss aversion.
That makes so much sense. Okay, next stat. 73% of recreational players call too wide on the flop but fold too much on the turn.
Ah, the classic curiosity call.
Yep. They have bottom pair or a gut shot. The C bet is small, maybe a quarter pot, and they just want to see a card. It's the price of a lottery ticket.
But then the turn card hits, the pot geometry takes over, and the SPR, the stack-to-pot ratio, shrinks. The curiosity is gone, and they panic.
So, what's the real world application? How do we use this intel?
Against this profile, your flop C-bets should be highly frequent and small. But your turn barrels need to be perfectly sized to trigger that exact SPR panic threshold.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, what about the aggro players? 81% of quote-unquote aggro players shut down when facing a check raise on paired boards.
Aggressive amateurs operate on a fragile mental model. They rely on fold equity to make you uncomfortable. But a check raise on a paired board breaks that model.
Because it's so hard to hit a pair.
Visually, yes. Their brain cannot process your raise as a bluff, so it induces immediate paralysis. You don't fight fire with fire, you set a trap and let them hang themselves.
Just let the maniac self-destruct. Okay, last big stat, and this is a huge one. 58% of the field misplays 3-bet pots out of position.
Over half the field is hemorrhaging EV there, because a 3-bet pot out of position is the highest cognitive load situation.
Yeah.
SPR is low, and acting first means you have an information deficit.
And the human brain hates that.
It does. So they default to passive lines. They check call too much. They don't bluff enough.
So what does this all mean?
It means you exploit their passivity by value betting incredibly thin, and you overfold when they suddenly show aggression because you know they lack the bluffs.
It's like having a psychological cheat sheet. You aren't just playing your whole cards, you are playing the player's blind spots.
Exactly. But knowing these stats intellectually isn't enough. Under the pressure of a ticking clock and a growing pot, intellect fails and instinct takes over.
Oh, totally. You completely freeze up.
Right. So to rewire that instinct, we have to talk about how players actually train.
Which brings us to the ultimate trap for modern players, watching training videos. I call it the cooking show illusion.
The cooking show illusion. Explain that.
Well, watching poker videos and expecting to become a table crusher is exactly like watching Gordon Ramsay on a cooking show and expecting to become a Michelin star chef. It's passive entertainment masquerading as study. You sit on the couch, nod along with the high-stakes pro, and feel productive. But you aren't cutting the onions.
Passive consumption feels like progress because of the dopamine hit of understanding, but it does nothing to groove the neural pathways required for execution under pressure.
Right. And then people say, well, just play more volume. But you say that's terrible advice, too.
It is catastrophic if your baseline mechanics are flawed. Repetition without feedback just reinforces bad habits.
Because you're just practicing doing it wrong.
Exactly. If your default play is wrong, playing 1,000 more hands just makes the wrong play feel completely natural.
So how do we actually fix this? You were telling me about this exact daily routine that actually drives results, and it only demands 20 minutes a day.
Yes. It's highly structured active training, 20 minutes, not a 4-hour session.
Walk me through the breakdown of those 20 minutes.
Phase 1 is 5 minutes of review. You look at flagged hands from your last session, but not coolers. There's zero EV in analyzing when aces get cracked by kings.
Right. You're looking for spots where you hesitated, understanding exactly what went right or wrong.
It's exactly. Phase 2 is 10 minutes of active drills. This is scenario-based drilling under a time constraint.
Facing a check raise, deciding between a thin value bet or a check.
Right. You're forced to make a concrete choice, and you get instant feedback on the EV of your decision versus the optimal exploit.
It's basically like flashcards for poker, but customized to the exact games you play.
That's a perfect analogy. And the final phase is 5 minutes of concepts. One short, bite-sized lesson on a specific weakness the drill's just exposed, not a bloated 45-minute lecture.
Just 20 minutes. 5, 10, 5.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, 20 minutes a day equals over 120 hours of focused, active training a year.
That compound effect is insane.
By day 7, you see spots you never noticed. By month 3, spots that cause panic feel totally routine. You rewire the instinctual response.
But wait, don't I need to reach a certain stake level or skill threshold before I start this kind of rigorous, structured training? Like if I'm just playing 12?
No, that is completely backwards. The system adapts to beginners and pros alike. Yes. The absolute best time to start is right now, stopping the bleed before you move up in stakes. If you take these leaks to a 5-10 table, better players will eviscerate your bankroll.
So fix the foundation first. Okay, but a 20-minute daily habit is fantastic, but how do we connect this daily practice to the actual nights we sit down at the felt?
Because you don't want to feel like a completely different player from Monday to Friday.
Exactly. The roller coaster of inconsistency. Listeners know this pain. Monday, you feel like a psychic. Wednesday, you get destroyed. Friday, you question if you even know how to play.
Most players treat every session as a fresh start, making decisions based on vibes and feelings.
Vibes are the worst way to play poker.
They are mathematically disastrous. Mastering the game is a system, not an innate talent.
Yeah.
And we have a framework to eliminate this variance.
Yes, the session-to-session framework. Let's start with the pregame, which is just 5 minutes.
Right. You don't just open the app and click sit down or walk into a casino and immediately play.
That's like boxing without stretching.
Exactly. You review the last 3 sessions and pick one single focus point for the night. Your anchor.
Like, I'm gonna check raise the flop more withdrawals tonight.
Yes. That grounds your cognitive load. Then comes in-game awareness. The secret of great players is that when you aren't in a hand, you are still playing.
Oh, this is huge. While everyone else is scrolling on their phones?
You are cataloging the table. Who is tilting? Who is playing scared after getting stacked?
Yeah.
This is free information sitting right in front of you. You watch the showdowns.
You're gathering the exact data you need to exploit them later. Okay, and then the postgame, the 15-minute window.
While memory is fresh, you flag 2 to 3 decision points. Not the massive bad beats, but the spots where you hesitated or went with your gut.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Those flagged hands become your curriculum, but gut feelings aren't enough, right?
Right.
You need a way to turn that gut feeling into a mathematical, concrete lesson.
And this is where people hit a wall. Cracking all this, flagging hands, doing AI analysis. It sounds like a massive amount of manual spreadsheet work.
Which is why literally no one does it.
Exactly. The friction is too high. But there is a platform specifically engineered to automate this entire workflow.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk about this. It's rangeflowai.com. It's the platform built precisely to facilitate this shift from GTO guessing to exploitative mastery.
It essentially takes everything we've talked about and operationalizes it.
Let's break down the core features of the toolkit because the value is insane. First, you get AI-powered street-by-street coaching.
It gives you instant feedback on every decision, pre-flop to river, so bad habits don't stick.
And it uses the 47 exploit database, right? Direct access to the patterns discovered from the 4 million hands we've been talking about.
Yes, it literally tells you when to deviate from GTO based on actual pool tendencies. It also features precision bet sizing training and interactive range matrices.
Those are the 13 by 13 visual grids, right? With preset buttons and SPR indicators.
Exactly. They make preflop and bet sizing automatic, freeing up your mental bandwidth at the table.
And if you have a random question, there's a 24/7 strategy chatbot. You get instant data-backed answers to your toughest spots. Plus, real-time pool tendency tracking.
Seeing what your specific player pool is actually doing month to month.
But my absolute favorite new feature is the multiplayer simulator.
It's brilliant for combating study isolation.
You can actually invite a buddy to sit across from you in the AI simulator, play hands together, and get real-time coaching feedback while you try to exploit each other.
It gamifies the exact active drills we talked about earlier.
Okay, so let's break down the financial reality check here. The brutal math of staying ignorant.
It's an invisible tax on your bankroll.
If the average pot is $50 to $200, and you make these 47 mistakes multiple times a session,
You are bleeding anywhere from $20 to over $100 in EV every single time you sit down.
that's agonizing to think about. But fixing just 3 or 4 leaks saves you, what, $100 to $300 a session?
Easily.
Yeah.
Which translates to $1,200 to $3,600 a month in reclaimed profit. Money you are unknowingly surrendering.
And that makes the cost of the platform just a no-brainer. RangeFlowA.com is $27 a month, or $270 a year.
Trivial compared to the capital required to play the game.
It's literally the cost of one single small pot at a 12 no-limit table. If it saves you 1 pot a month, it pays for itself tenfold.
But, poker players have egos.
Oh, massive egos. What if I try this and I find out my game is actually perfect and I don't have any leaks? What if I'm just running bad?
I love when players say that, which is why they offer a fix your leaks or it's free guarantee.
I love a good challenge.
I challenge anyone listening. Take the 7-day free test drive at rangeflowa.com. Run the drills. Feed it your flagged hands. If you don't find at least 5 specific leaks costing you real money, cancel it. No questions asked.
Just walk away.
Exactly. But the data proves the leaks are always there. Every player has them.
So to summarize this whole journey, we have moved from the trap of GTO against unpredictable players, defined the Donk Hunter mindset, and broken down the 20-minute daily active training routine.
And laid out the session-to-session framework.
Exactly. You really need to visit rangeflowa.com right now to start that 7-day free test drive and plug your leaks.
I'll add a crucial warning to that. This data is incredibly valuable right now, but its value decreases as more players discover it.
Ah, the shrinking edge.
Right. If you wait, you are just leaving money on the table for the players who do understand these 47 exploits.
They become the hunted instead of the hunter.
Exactly. And this raises an important question of final thought to ponder. If RangeFlow AI is constantly analyzing millions of hands and player pools are continuously evolving as they get access to this data,
Yeah.
what does the poker ecosystem look like 5 years from now?
Oh, wow.
Will there be a new, undiscovered set of meta leaks created purely by players trying to exploit the current 47 leaks? The pursuit of the edge is infinite.
That is wild to think about. The game just keeps leveling up. Well, thank you so much to everyone for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, stop guessing, start hunting, and head over to rangeflowai.com. We'll catch you next time.